Good day, good day, good day. We're really sorry for the break in transmission. We honestly do not know what happened, but things like this happen. But we're back. We're definitely back. We're not going to end the show like that. So we're sorry again. And if you are, we for months, for years, that I can even say for years. But I think it's safe to say that it's better late than never. I think that's the thing for it, because a lot of people, I've also heard a lot of people say, oh, what is going to happen, and I'm like, okay, this is one of the things that we had been clamoring for years, and it's finally happening. Can we just take the win and we move on? Like, do we always have to have something, do we always have to feel there's something wrong? I think until we see some of these things, until we see the implementation and it's not done well, then we can now say, oh, okay, there's a problem somewhere. But the truth is, I think that it is not a bad idea with what is happening. But still talking about the Nigerian education, the federal government and the National Assembly have backed WAEC's plans to start computer-based tests in 2026. So that's the West African Examination Council. That's the secondary school. That's the exam that you do at the end of your SS3. And this exam is what the WAEC is saying that come 2026 is no longer going to be paper. And I'm like, with the number of people that do these exams, I know that, take for example, JAM is pulling it off. They've been pulling it off for a couple of years, but we also know that JAM is a one-day exam. WAEC is weeks on weeks or weeks of exams, the logistics, how many students actually do they have the facility to go through all this? Those are things that I would expect that should have been sorted before 2026. So we'll say that makes sense. But what do you think? Do you think it's something that is needed? Does it look like it's something that we should be doing as we're moving with the times and, back and forth?
So for me, I think this is very, very good. And the reason why I say that is because the 2 or 3 entry exams that they require to get into tertiary institutions, one of them is already a CBT.
Yeah.
And what has that created? It has created a generation of young Nigerians who are efficient with the use of the computer. At some point, computer literacy was a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
It was a thing that it was a jingle, whatever. But now it's a reality that everybody, regardless of age, you need to have knowledge of using a computer. So who better to, get on board early enough and write, computer-based tests than students, in secondary school. It's a fantastic thing. Apart from, proving their proficiency with the use of a computer, it also will cut down the cost of logistics. The CBT centers, either based in the schools or the privately owned ones, would have invested heavily in computers and the infrastructure and all of that. Mm-hmm. And you go there, you write your exam, and you leave. So you don't also need the stress of getting, because people don't understand the level of security that the exam papers have to be subjected to. It's like during elections when some of the voting materials are taken to police stations or security establishments, or in their own INEC offices, they're heavily guarded. But this is now a computer-based test that is going to be done digitally. So all of that is eliminated. You don't need all of that stress of security and logistics. Just get yourself in front of a computer in a verified location.
Place. I hope that we get to a point where you could sit in the comfort of your house to write these exams.
I hope not. I hope not. Maybe in another lifetime.
Why not, though? Because you know that these things are really timed. So do you really even have time to sit down and be reading book and doing all those kind of things?
Those things are timed, but in your house, maybe you have help. You have people doing things for you, and there's nobody checking them as against in a CBT center. You know, because if people want to cheat, all they have to do is have one or two people on their computer that is doing quick Google searches or AI questions and prompts. And answers are going to be popping up left, right, and center. So I hope not.
Anyway, still talking education. We're going all the way to Kaduna State. It looks like Kaduna State has cut the bug. For the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about different states and a lot of reforms that different states have been having in their educational system. Now, Kaduna State, like I said, has cut the bug and said that they have set out new regulations to curb exploitative and unhealthy practices in schools across the state. Now, first things first, they're now saying that they're putting an official ban on graduation ceremonies at every class level.
Good.
And they're saying that graduations would only apply to JSS 3 and SS 3 students. So what does that mean? There is no graduation for primary school in Kaduna State again.
That's cool.
Also, they're saying that all this, even these graduations, ceremonies that they do, have to be optional. Participation and whatever payment has to be optional. It should have nothing to do with getting your results or anything. That those things have to be optional. Now, they're saying also that compulsory levies in schools that schools are proposing, school fees and all that, have to be submitted to the school's quality assurance authority 4 weeks before implementation for you to get approval that students, schools, especially private schools, cannot arbitrarily increase fees and all that anymore.
That's an interesting thing. Do they have the capacity to monitor this?
Okay, so according to them, which I think is also very interesting, it said that before you even bring whatever it is, that there also has to be the approval of the PTA of the school with it before you actually come and submit.
Okay. But when the school doesn't go through this, how would you know when they still impose these levies without seeking your approval? So that's my question. That's why I was asking that. Do they have the capacity to monitor to see if people are actually complying or not?
We'll see. We'll see that as well.
A lot of people see education, especially the private schools, they see education solely as a money-making venture. There's nothing wrong with you investing in a business that you want to make money. But I always look at education majorly from the moral perspective, knowing that if I am able to impart knowledge in these kids properly, you know, I'm safeguarding the future, you get. But of course, a lot of people, so at times, they don't care about all these sharp practices. They just want to make money.
They just want to make money.
You buy school fees and you buy school uniforms at exorbitant prices. Mm-hmm. The books that you could buy for less outside, you get to pay almost times 2, you know, and all of those things.
So now they're also now telling there's also issues with the students, and they're saying that the idea of sign out cultures that often sees final year students engaging in indecent and unruly activities at the end of examinations need to stop. And they're saying that schools have to be mindful of those things now, or the school themselves will be sanctioned.
We actually did that sign out thing in my secondary school.
And it was not it's just
but now
these days they've turned it into something else.
All sorts of things are happening.
Exactly. They're saying that schools should have been directed to provide supervised alternatives like farewell assemblies, talent exhibitions, and mentorship sessions.
I saw a video of a sign out where a student, a secondary school kid, was spraying money to his girlfriend in court. He made it rain for his girlfriend.
Anyway, the publishers are not also left out of this. They're saying that with effect from September of 2026, they're giving them a whole year to review their textbooks. and they're saying that consumable textbooks are officially outlawed in the state, saying there should be textbooks and then they should have optional separate workbooks so that the textbooks are useful, and then when you have workbooks, you should just, it's only the workbooks that should be that you can work in. But these days a lot of publishers use those textbooks as workbooks as well, and they're not reusable.
It's really interesting. Like I said, they see it as a money-making venture. And they had free reign for too long, where your kids are forced to buy these books where they have to do the work-ins inside the textbook. Makes it useless for the next generation. You know, for the next sibling that might be needing that book. So in the same house, you have the same set of books, and they're useless.
And I think that these things, like I said, looks like a lot of states. I hope that every single state catches the bug. Southwest states, I'm waiting. You have all of you are suddenly mute, and schools are going to resume in like the next couple of weeks.
Ideally, you know, when you see this trend, if I'm the Minister of Education, I'm going to call a conference of commissioners of education. That's what I'm going to do.
Because
we have a sit down,
I
like and come up with is it white paper or blue paper?
A unilateral thing that affects everybody. And you know why I like some of these things that they're talking about? They are basic things that affect everybody. It's just not blanket statements. Those things are the crux of the matter, where there's a lot of money that is being wasted on a lot of things. In fact, they're going to a point where this in Kaduna now, they're saying that, like, take for example in the school fees increments, they're saying not just approvals of the PTA, there actually also have to be PTA meetings that you have had with parents, and the minutes have to be submitted. A couple of that, these parents actually agreed to it, and then they can now move forward, and that there would be sanctions if they find out that those things have happened. So what that also means is maybe do a lot more awareness, because I think that parents could probably be your easiest whistleblowers in this aspect, which makes a lot of sense. So we definitely will see, hope that a lot more parents, or a lot more states actually key into these things quickly, because schools are really about to resume. Now, moving on from education, and there's a very interesting conversation that happened. First things first, there's public holiday on Friday for people that take public holidays. There is Eid-ul-Mawlid holiday on Friday. That's the Prophet Muhammad's birthday, so it's public holiday on Friday. Just wanted to put it out there in case you've not heard. Now you've heard. Now, the president yesterday had now recalled the DG of NTA that he has signed in 2024, the DG and all the other executive directors, and because they had already announced new set of people, and all of a sudden these people are no longer appointed again. What's the plan, Daddy Tinubu?
I know that President Tinubu has had a few flip-flops in the area of appointing people, but this one takes the cake, and I think it's really, really wrong. For instance, some people are already shopping for their new office. It's not fair. People have been congratulated.
Oh yeah.
And they have also just moved on. They've done a whole lot of things. Some have even gone as far as going to Abuja to get their new abode in place and all of that. Then there's a reversal. I think it's the worst thing that can ever happen to anybody, and I think it's unfair that Mr. President would let such a thing happen. I know that politics comes to bear a lot. In my just standing where I stand, it looks like maybe there was some pressure from people to say, I know you can't do that to this person, and you can't do that to that person.
But shouldn't you have done like your homework before?
Give them time, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe somebody went to one of these mountains and all these other streaming prayer platforms and say, oh Lord, reverse it, reverse it.
Oh Lord.
Because some things can happen. And like they say, anything can happen. Well, I really think that it doesn't speak well for a government that through its official channels made appointments, then weeks after you make a reversal.
Yes, it's not a great look. But anyway, he's the president. He's done it. At this point, there's really nothing anybody can do. Also, wanted to also put this out there. The federal government has begun training for 100,000 construction artisans nationwide. Why I like this is because if you've people that are maybe into construction would attest that there's a major decline in professionals when it comes to construction artisans in Nigeria. There are a lot of people that are literally being imported to take over that industry.
Yeah, it's a very sad development. I was talking to a friend that operates in that sector, and he was talking about how they're even finding it hard to employ people, and that they have several openings, but they don't have anybody to fill those positions, and that most of the young people, according to him, just want to do Yahoo. According to him,
there are a lot of jobs that growing up that you saw that a lot of people were involved in that you hardly see people do these days.
Yeah,
so many. The few people that you see that are involved in those jobs are very old people.
Yeah, and that these are the issues, really and truly. So now the government trying to do 100,000. It's a drop in the ocean, but it is a welcome.
It's better than what we didn't have at all. Yes,
I noticed a deliberate effort about ramping up the availability and the skills that is required, especially for artisans. I know that this government has been doing a lot in that regard. So this is another good step in the right direction.
Okay, now let's move on to just a bit of security quickly. As first things first, the Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau has begun a probe to the Abuja train derailment. They're now saying officially about 12 people got injured, but thankfully nobody lost their life in that accident. Also, the Department of State Services have officially arraigned 9 prime suspects in the killings that happened in Benue and Plateau State.
Yeah, I saw an headline. I didn't read the story that was saying that nothing has changed since the president went to the place where those brothers
I think
and
I saw that
were
I didn't read this story, but I remember seeing that.
I said to myself, I'm not there. I can't fault this person. And if that is the case, it's really sad.
It is really sad
because people are just staying in their homes and they have just been attacked like that.
It's such a very very sad one. Also, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has also now declared a former Abia local government commissioner wanted over corruption. Mr. Christopher Enwere-Madu has now been declared wanted in connection with allegations of criminal conspiracy, diversion of public funds, and money laundering.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where is he now?
I'm sure if they knew where he was, he would not be wanted.
I'm asking you now, with this your glasses, I'm sure you can see everything.
I don't know.
Okay,
Thank you.
EFCC, she says she don't know, but I would stay on her case and try to find out because she sees a lot.
I don't see, please.
Oh my God.
I beg in the name of God.
Oh my God. It's really sad, though, Dolu, that this is 2025 and we're still in this place where, people are being accused of this heinous crimes. It's just disgusting at most. I'm not going to encourage stealing in any form, but how about focusing on the reason why you got the job in the first place? Or was that the reason to steal, to kill, and to maim? I hope you get caught. At least have your day in court.
Now, moving on from that, let's go on to a court case that happened that looks like was involved with the military. So apparently, until a few days ago, I did not know that there is a mandatory 15-year tenure that you have to do if you are a military person. Apparently, this came to light as far back as 2013 when a pilot officer in the Nigerian armed forces had been asked, he actually asked to resign, and they said he couldn't resign. So we took them to the National Industrial Court. However, the case just finally got started in 2025.
So he alleges that it was overlooked for promotion. It was kept back. They didn't allow him grow in his career and everything. He was talking about a witch hunt and all of that. And he said, you know what? I'll take my skill set to the private sector, Abi. But of course, when you sign, and they say you have signed, those are one of the things that you signed, that you would be there mandatorily for X number of years. If you look at it from the, what's it called now, from the HR perspective, from the work perspective, you'd be like, yeah, why should you force anybody to stay? But if you look at it from the security angle, it's a bad decision, no, because what that means now is that
everybody can just up and go.
At this rate,
people can up and go. So I get your point, but I also feel that maybe it should be something like, like in the civil service, for you to get some benefits, you have to work a certain number of years. Do you understand? However, if you don't, then you're not getting it.
That's it now.
I think it should be like that. That way, it's not that you're forcing them back.
A certain number of years is even now gone completely.
No, that's
with this judgment. So what you're asking for is another law.
So that's why I'm saying that those certain number of years, they probably should. That should be the plan. Like these things come up because I with things with like pension and all that, it takes a number of years. So, but you can't hold people back and say you have to do it. If you want to forfeit the number of years you have done, if maybe you have to do 15 years to be entitled to some things.
So, let's picture this. Let's picture this. If I am young enough to enter the Air Force, for instance, and if I was going to learn how to fly, it would cost me X number of money and years. But if I join the Air Force, it will be free. So I acquire that skill by joining the Air Force, and I up and go. Then I resign. Have you looked at it?
I get your point. Yeah, I get that angle though. So we'll see what the military is going to say to this. Maybe it's going to be what's the word now?
I actually think they should appeal.
It's going to be appeal.
But in the case of this man, we should not always take things generally. Why can't they look into the fact of the matter? Why was he overlooked for promotion?
Those are
why was he being victimized? That's the real crux of the matter. Yes,
and that's it. So basically, still talking a bit of, this is not about the Air Force, but it's basically talking about air. And the former aviation minister Hadi Sirika has now come out to say that the reports saying that the Nigerian Air was a scam, and the truth is, the new Minister of Aviation is obviously against the whole thing. The man cancelled it. He is very vehemently really against the whole concept of it. This man is now saying that it was not a scam, and that they had even talked about how 100 billion naira was released. He is saying that it was only 3 billion of that money that had been released, not 100 billion. And there was legitimate work ongoing for Nigeria Air to become a thing.
Okay, it's not a scam. Okay, but not okay. Quickly, let's take a look at it. You, with your partners, flew a plane just a few days before President Buhari left government.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. Like,
with the Nigeria Air logo. Now, before that, you had done another logo unveiling years before, and you're saying, look, you were there for 8 years, 7+ years, but it is 1 week or 2 weeks to go that you deemed it fit to do a water welcoming of a plane that, if you track its code number, is still majorly on the Ethiopian Air fleet. So that plane came to Nigeria and left almost immediately.
Yeah, that's it. Like, at least if there was infrastructure, there'll be conversation around it.
That is not a scam. I get it. You were not giving money. You were giving only 3 billion. I get that. Why did you say you were about to start
when you were not ready?
You were not ready. Look, you should know when to cut your losses and say, we really wish we could have done this thing, and we're going to leave a report for the incoming government.
Yeah.
A template or the blueprint for them to achieve
like something that
it's something that we wanted to do, but we couldn't do. But the reason why people call it a scam is the airline operational? Are you flying people?
The new ministry, did they meet anything on ground? No.
If you get to the Abuja airport, they have one office there in that lobby to the right like this. I'm just looking like, So where's the plane? Even if it was just local flights alone.
Yeah, the ministry had shut it down now and all that. I'm sure that if there was a lot more things to do or things that were on ground, I don't think it would be easy for the new aviation minister to shut some of these things down. So, but we definitely will see. And again,
even the structure of that deal was defective from the get.
Was brought out to be defective. So, I also think that maybe it's really time that a lot more presidents need to look into people that really don't know. I have a feeling some people don't know a lot of these things that they put them in charge of.
The sad part is that their partners, if they had actually worked better with them, they have one of the best airlines in the world. Those guys could have actually done something good. But
it looked like they to me, it looked like they knew that this person or the people involved did not have such an idea, so they were just going to scam people. But anyway,
it's not a scam. It's not a scam.
It's not a scam. It's not a scam. Talking about transportation, Governor Sanwo-Olu has now declared that tomorrow for the train for the Blue Line, there's 50% slash on fares. Why? He's celebrating the 2nd anniversary of the Blue Line, and he's saying in 2 years there has not been one accident that has happened.
I always fear when people say something like that. It's the time you say something that's
but let's actually talk about it, really.
Okay.
And sorry for the federal government, but I know that these are things that we really need to look at. If Lagos State, you remember that we talked about how it's basically cashless, yeah? Transport in Lagos is basically cashless. And I know one of the issues that a lot of people were talking about, will a lot of people that are not literate be able to use it? It has been working. It works for the buses, it works for the trains. Yeah. This has been going on for years. We have now, this is 2 years of a Blue Line that has not been one accident. Now, what is it that keep in mind though, there are literally bridges that you can see that this,
and it's powered by electricity.
It's powered by electricity and all these things. How is it that? And because a lot of people might also come up and say, because it's just one state. But train does not run around the whole country. It's just Lagos to Ibadan, Abuja to Kaduna, Warri, Itakwe. Simple.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, though, is to build a
ring
of rails.
Yeah, that's not even the point. My point is, if you are only dealing with 3 now, and Warri Itakwe has now been shut down because there was issues with it, the Abuja Kaduna has been, this is like the 3rd or 4th time that Abuja rail has been shut down. Remember the kidnapping. Now this is the derailment that just happened last week.
But the old single gauge, or was that like the old one? Lagos County is still running.
It's still running. How many people? Those things that you mainly use.
A lot of people are.
I'm just saying, really, that how do we get to a point to get around the whole country if at every point in time it looks like 1 or 2 of these things are shut down and we have issues? How is it that a state is getting it right? And federal government that is supposed to have more personnel, that is more resources, and we can't just get one thing right.
So, again, it refers back to the non-scam airlines. It was not a scam. The idea of launching something that didn't have any real structures in place. Lagos has La Mata. The structure of La Mata is similar to TfL in the UK. Transport for London, something like that, where the lines are integrated, payment is done through the Oyster card, and Lagos has its own card also. And, there's technology, there's a seamless connection between all the platforms. That they have the last mile buses. Those are the small buses that are supposed to take you from your bus stop to your street. They have the BRT. Lag ride. They have the BRT and all of that. So, at the end of the day, La Mata has the mandate, to run the Lagos transport system. That is what the federal government needs also. Something similar to a Lamata, but it will never happen. They have the NRC that, of course, has its own MD and its own people, and that's real. For transportation, we don't have those federal mass transit buses anymore, and even when they had them, they were giving out to NURTW and RTEN and other interested parties. So there's no integration per se.
But even the rail, why can't we leave the integration with the rail? I'm not even talking about the extras.
What I'm trying to say is that a system where there's like a company that is dedicated to trying to connect Nigeria by rail. Now there's a plan to build this bullet train from Abuja to Lagos, from Lagos to Abuja, Abuja to the east and to the south. You get, and the talks are being ramped up now. And they're going to use, the private sector people are going to use their money to build it, you get, which cuts travel time to those places drastically. When you have a structure like that in place, beyond that company, if there was a Lamata that is actually interfacing with them, something like that, you can now talk to more investors and you have a master plan to say, Enugu, Onitsha, because there's no standard gauge.
So that's what I'm now saying. Before we even get to that point, this one, how do we make? Because we're saying, there's something like Lamata, yes, but a Nigeria Railway Corporation should be able to work like that. If the little that you have, you can't even make it work.
So should is good English, but the reality on ground is that we forget the ruts that set in for years. There was a time when the Nigerian Railway Corporation didn't have any train that was running. And there was a time when the only one that was running in Lagos was running within the metropolis alone. And you would, just like they do in India, you will find like 1 million people sitting dangerously on those things. You notice that has stopped now. Because Lagos has its own red line running on the same track. The federal government has the interstate one that goes from Lagos all the way to Ibadan through Abeokuta. You get, so it's slow process. But at least it started already, And if you look at the master plan for the rail, they're supposed to create a ring road around Nigeria of rail, a rail network that actually allows you to go from Warri to Itakpe, from Itakpe to Abuja, from Abuja to Kaduna, Kaduna to Kano. The Kano Maradi line is still being built as we speak, which will terminate in Niger Republic, and of course, the Lagos Coastal Road has a rail portion of it, a rail segment of it, a rail segment in the middle, and that is also supposed to come up. But we also must realize that there are funding issues, and all of these things take time. But if you look at where we were coming from, and when there was a government official that said that, Nigerians cannot afford to have good rail system, to now that we actually do, to the point where there's an electric powered rail in Lagos that has never failed.
Anyway, moving on from that quickly, our thoughts, our prayers are with the people of Afghanistan as confirmed about 1,400 people that have been confirmed dead, another over 3,000 that are injured after Kuna earthquake.
We keep, we keep experiencing these things. It like you said, thoughts and prayers are with them. It's a sad.
Very sad situation. Now let's move on quickly from that. And Nigerian champions Bielsa Queens have beat USFA 2-1 to reach the WAFL B Women's Champions League finals.
Yeah, they are the best in Nigeria when it comes to women's club football, and this is a fantastic thing by Bielsa Queens. Now they're in the finals, and at this point, wouldn't it be nice if, I know it's a club side, I know it's owned by the government or privately owned, but wouldn't it be nice if the sports commission also got involved at this point now, because they're in the finals, so drum up some support for them, get the Nigerian Supporters Club to attend that game, get the media to cover it, create a buzz around them as well, and again it can actually lead to more income.
And also talking about women, Super Falcons star Asato Shoala has officially moved to Saudi Arabia from the US.
Agbabola
Looks like
herself.
she retiring anytime soon.
As she said, story, when it's finally told, will be very beautiful and interesting. Asisat has played in the Premiership. She has played in the La Liga. She has played in Asia. She has played in the US. And now she's in Saudi Arabia. This is one Amazon that needs to be celebrated. I'm so happy for her. Yep. I didn't even see her leaving that American club because I know she has some kind of investment or affiliations with them. But
you know,
there's a way Saudi calls you.
There's a way
you get the call. You say, hello, is that Asisa Toshola? 60 billion, just come tomorrow.
Anyway, moving on quickly. Let's run through. Also, Super Eagles star Kelechi Iheanacho has now signed for Celtic. There was news yesterday that he was dropped by Sevilla.
Yeah, it was a mutual thing.
When is he going to retire?
No, he's not retiring.
Because a lot of clubs are dropping him.
Yeah, it happens at times. People go through a dip that actually lasts for so long. That's why he needs all the support he can get now. Senior man, like they like to call him, is I think he's a blessed player because it's obvious that the termination of that deal by Sevilla and him is mutual. Because barely 24 hours after the announcement came that Celtic had picked him up, for 1 year and all of that, which is a fantastic thing because what that means now is that his sign-on fees and everything are his own. You know, there'll be some kind of severance from Sevilla, and they won't, if they had sacked him, they would have had to pay him some money and all that. But when they say, you know what, it's not working, you go, I go, so he can now negotiate, and that's what he has done. And that's why they say don't burn your bridges, because the person that facilitated this deal, is someone that he knew from the past. Now, shout out to his managers and his agents.
Okay, now before we go, Magistrate Court has now officially ordered a DNA test on late Mohbad's son. Looks like this matter is not ending anytime soon.
Yeah, it's an ongoing saga. It's going to be like there's a way they say it now, out there in the street, season film. I can't say the way they said it because I don't want anybody to go and cut that part out, but it's usually pronounced as FEEM, you get. But so it's an ongoing saga. Now, the pros and cons. The beauty of it is that it puts everything to rest.
It probably puts a lot of conversation to rest.
The mother of the child will finally, if the result comes out, and of course, it's definitely Mohbad's son, then she can actually rest. But before she rests, she will rub it in your faces. If it happens the other way, well, the people who push for it, God bless them. That means that, of course, everybody was still looking out for Mohbad, even in his death, because there's still the matter of his estate.
Yeah, to settle, which I think is
they
one
need
of
to work out whom would receive that.
Yes, and on that note, that is all we have to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you another wonderful edition of The Boom Bar. Do have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead.
Peace.